Hello, everybody, and welcome to the first meeting of Aquaholics Anonymous. I hope you all enjoy the name. I had fun coming up with that. Chattanooga Ed, thank you for being here. Appreciate you.
Oh, my pleasure.
Co-host. We do have a special guest. Real quick, I'm going to say some hellos while John is still live. That'll give me a chance before we get a potential influx of people. Sand Creek Aquatics 2, Mary Page Flynn. Hello, good to see you all. Streetwise. Burn through here. Cody Sun, of course, Chattanooga Ed, myself saying hello in the chat. Deb Hall D, welcome. The Zen Ginger, Pepley Creek Aquatics, Dragon Lair. Go through here. C23, Sickless 23, good to see you. I appreciate you being here. It kind of bounced around on me a little bit. I hope I didn't miss anybody, but thank you for being here. And I love Mary Page Flynn. Came in and said, my name is Mary Page Flynn, and I'm an aquaholic.
So, that's great.
I think we've got a good show for you all tonight. I'm going to go ahead and bring up our special guest. As most of you all know, we are continuing on the Meet the Members series because a lot of you members also have channels yourselves. So everybody, please welcome Mike from Fish Tank Barn.
How's it going, everybody? Good evening, or good morning, or afternoon, depending on where in the world you're watching.
Absolutely. Thank you for coming on tonight, Mike. It's been a while since I've got to talk with you, and I've missed your live streams lately.
Yeah,
so.
Fortunately, been a little busy, and kind of, with COVID and everything, kind of things didn't really align with doing it anymore at the moment. But someday I will live stream again.
Awesome. I'm glad to hear that. Well, for anybody that is unfamiliar with your channel, do you want to tell us a little bit about the setup you've got, the Fish Tank Barn as it is?
Yeah, so the Fish Tank Barn is basically a 1.5 car garage, which basically has 2 stories on it, which is, it kind of has the barn shape. So that's why it was called the Fish Tank Barn instead of Mike's Aqua Garage or something like that. So it was one of those things where it was kind of like, well, what are we going to call it? Fish Tank Barn. So we do a lot of fish room stuff. I've kind of gotten into live bears. We have the water for it, African cichlids, and still dabble a little bit in saltwater. Started out my hobby actually in saltwater, and I did that for the first probably 7-8 years exclusively. Got into breeding clownfish, got involved with the Marine Breeding Initiative and marine aquaculture, which was kind of an emerging thing at the time. They've made a lot of advances in the last 10, 11 years with that, from barely nothing to now a lot more things are being captively bred or being able to be captively bred, even though it's not commercially. So it's really gone a long way. So that kind of started there, and then kind of started playing around with freshwater a little bit, and then now it actually flipped almost a lot more freshwater and still some clownfish breeding and stuff like that when I have the time for it.
Well, that is awesome. So you've got a 2-story setup. About how many tanks are you working with there?
It's around 100, give or take. I haven't counted recently.
That's so cool.
It gets to a point where you kind of forget.
Absolutely. No, I can understand that. I'm only at maybe half of what you've got. I stop at like 53. Of course, Mrs. Fever is always kind enough to remind me when I'm like, it's 50 something, and she gives me an actual number. But yeah, there comes a point when you're just like, I've got a lot. I don't know.
I've kind of gotten to the point where it's kind of like full now, to where like when I went to Akron to get some of the tanks from Jimmy when he moved back to Washington, and it literally was kind of that maxed it out.
I gotcha. Yeah, it definitely becomes a space issue. And it's always best if you can to plan ahead. Of course, I know a lot of times, like for me, there wasn't a plan to have 50 plus tanks. It just kind of happens, and you're going, I wish I had thought this out a little bit better and realized that I could have structured things differently.
Absolutely. I mean, I had an original plan, and it's changed 10, 15 times now, and now this is kind of the final plan because I'm kind of sick of working on it, to be quite honest with you. It's been almost 2 years now of just continuous taking things down, building stands, moving it, doing this, and it's kind of like, okay, it's time to stop.
Absolutely. I haven't quite hit that point. I'm still trying to optimize things. I was debating the other day about adding a rack of 20 talls. I've got 110 in one spot, and it's not racked or anything. So I'm like, well, I could build a rack in there, and I could stick some 20 talls in there, and it gets crazy. There, Mrs. Fever says 54 because of the shrimp tank in the bedroom. Yes, and that's actually the background that I chose for the Aquaholics Anonymous.
Cool.
Oh, cool.
And I actually there are no tanks in the house. That was kind of the deal. Was that once it moved out here, because they used to be in the basement.
Right.
So now literally no tanks in the house. So.
Well, that seems like a crummy deal. Who would want no fish tanks in their house?
I just come out here.
I know, but I meant if you made the deal with your wife, maybe she misses out on fish. Does she ever come out and look at the fish?
Not very often. She's too busy with stuff she's got going on. It's kind of become my thing a little bit. So, yeah, we do have the. I think somebody mentioned the cricket action going on here. Yeah, because of Beth, I love the cricket ASMR. So, I do apologize for the cricket. I did try to capture it today to no avail. So we will do our best to minimize the cricket sound as we can.
Well, it's supposed to bring you luck.
Yeah.
And holes in your underwear.
I was just going to say that's our other special guest is Jiminy Cricket, but he won't be on camera.
Yeah,
So I do have a question here in the chat real quick. BCFR is asking when the conference/meetup is here in Tennessee. Sorry I didn't get back to your message on Facebook before now, but since you are here, I will inform you now. Mentioned a couple times. We did have to postpone that event. There have been some issues surrounding the health status of the world in which our tents were no longer available for rental for the event. So that kind of messes things up when you're planning on doing an event that is inside extremely large tents. Roxanne Barnes, welcome to the team. I appreciate you becoming a member. We've got these party poppers. Some of you all already know about this, but our little celebratory party popper. Roxanne, I really do appreciate that. Thank you very, very much. Be sure when you get a chance to go check out the members only stuff. I've got some neat little videos and updates and things like that. So I hope you enjoy that. And I really do appreciate you becoming a member. Mike, I wanted to ask you, since you haven't been live streaming lately, what have we missed, I guess would be the best way to put it? Because normally we'd get tours and updates and things like that on a weekly basis. And so I'm sure that we've missed out on some stuff going on around the fish tank barn.
It's been a lot of really like manual labor type stuff. Been working a little bit on improving like video and audio quality. A little bit of like just kind of like what Zenzo did with cleaning up, like the cement blocks and stuff. I'm nowhere near finished yet. But I'll turn the camera. I can show you a little bit. It'll be kind of dark. I've kind of dimmed the lights in here. But if you turn the camera this way and you look at the cichlid tank right here, we kind of did we put instead of our normal kind of covering here, we put the door. And this is just the 1x8. And then kind of covered it with 1x8 here. Painted this all black. Still have to do the bottom, but kind of stuff like that.
Very cool. So you're getting fancy there. I have not moved on to that point yet. I've got to rebuild a stand for a 220 gallon I have in storage. And I think when I do it, I'm actually going to, trim it out and give it a nice finished look versus my typical 2x4s just painted. But I do have, let me address the super chat real quick before it gets too far away from me. And yes, I will throw on the glasses. People seem to enjoy that in the last stream when we were playing around with some props here. Pet Exotic / multiple aquariums. I appreciate you. $2 super chat says, great guest. Yes, Mike is definitely an awesome guy, as are you, Diego, at Pet Exotics. So thank you very, very much for that. Always appreciated. Never expected, but I do love you, and I thank you for that very much, my friend. And then somebody mentioned that they had heard Sean the Fish Guy. Hello, so just heard about you guys from Aquarium Co-op. Already like it. Great job, Sean. Thank you. That's a fantastic segue for me, because I wanted to ask you about something that Corey had discussed, and I noticed in the chat you made a comment about trying to maintain temperature in a 2-story building. Mm-hmm. Real quick before you answer that, I'm going to take care of this. Bob Kaler with the $1 super pooper chat. Thank you, Kaler's Aquatics. A good friend, awesome supporter. It's always great to see you. I appreciate you being here, Bob. Thank you for the super chat. Sorry about that, but Mike, in terms of maintaining temperature and dealing with temperature, especially in an outdoor facility, I guess, if you will, how do you handle that on 2 stories?
It gets a little interesting. It's been a learning experience. It's basically the way it kind of works in the wintertime, we are in Michigan here, so it does get cold. We do have snow. I have a 250 watt basically heater, so it runs on a 10 gauge I think wire, but so 240 amp circuit. Sorry, and then that heats the room in here. Unfortunately, it is hotter upstairs than it is down here. So a lot of I kind of basically have kind of kept it now as a warm area, cold area, because what I'll do is I'll keep a lot of the gadeids and a lot of the things down here that are call it, like that are cooler water fish, especially in the winter. And then upstairs, I'll keep a lot of the warmer species. And then if I have fish down here that are warmer, they automatically get a heater, even if we have the full room heat. And then I have temperature tested this. I know I'm talking a lot about the cold part of it. Because it's Michigan and it's assumed to be cold. And I'll get to the heat in just a minute. I've tested this down to -10. We had a -10 days the first year, and it was chilly. It was the concrete was cold, obviously, on the floor, but the room was fine and the fish were fine. So, and then heat wise, it's a lot of it's dealing with like the humidity in the summer. And then this has also kind of become my office now with all of the things going on in the world. So this is actually my work desk along with my fish desk and plumbing desk and all sorts of other fish related things desk as well. So it's basically for me, I've got a fan in front of me here. And then upstairs, there's an air conditioner on each end of the building. And that basically keeps it, kind of keeps it cool and keeps the humidity down and stuff like that.
Very nice. We got people asking about the crickets again. Yeah, that's Jiminy Cricket. He's going to be off screen. We couldn't afford to get him on camera, but he is hanging out as the other guest. And I've got a super chat real quick I want to address. Then I want to make a comment back on that. But we've got Mob for USO1 says new subscriber and throwing down a $2 super chat. Mob, thank you for becoming a subscriber and thank you very much for the super chat. I really do appreciate that. Well, I'm going to give you one more because that one hit the desk instead of the camera, but I try and make it fun for you all. There we go. So Bob, thank you. So basically you're working off of the premise, Mike, kind of like you do with the rack system in just a standard room with the hot air rising and the cold air falling and making adjustments accordingly. So like I've got, for example, my rack of 10 gallons, it's got 4 rows of 4 tanks and I keep stuff that's colder nature down at the bottom because those tanks stay a little bit cooler, even though I guess I should have prefaced with I typically heat the whole room. So like this half of the house stays between 78 and 80. But even with that going on and styrofoam over that floor vent, there still is some AC seepage that comes out. And it definitely makes those tanks cooler at the bottom. So I keep something that's more of a cold-blooded or cold-natured like you're talking about. And that's, I think, a very smart idea, a very smart way to look at things when you've got either a 2-story or, you're really fighting with temperature conditions. So,
all right, I'm going to grab a question from Deb Hall D. She's asking what part of Michigan I am in. I am in the northern suburbs of Metro Detroit. So that is where the fish barn is located.
And we have got some, yeah, Ed's got some of your fish. I've got some of your fish. We met you at the big fish deal. That was awesome. Yeah. So I've got a bunch of things, but your snow cross endlers, I'm absolutely in love with those guys. They are breeding like crazy, and they are beautiful, beautiful fish.
So I got some of his points too.
I think he had some guppy grass, right?
Actually, no, it was the Val.
The jungle
Val?
Yes. I have more. I'm going to do a fish room tour this week. And you will see a lot of jungle Val. You will see more than you ever want to see.
Well, I actually love Val, and I've just got kind of the generic Val here. But when I set the 220 up, half of it is just going to be Val for the piranhas because I want to give them half covered. So I look forward to seeing that, and it's nice to get an update from you. Because we're used to having, when you would do your lives, you would have that portion of the show where you take the camera and you'd go on a mission and walk us around and show us the tanks. I am going to grab a couple of super chats and members real quick here, and then we will jump right back into the questions because I want to ask if you've got any new fish projects going on. But before I get to that, let me throw these on real quick. We've got Grumpy Mike's Fish with the $1 super pooper chat. I appreciate you, Grumpy Mike. He's here every week. Always a pleasure. Thank you very, very much. Pet Exotic / Multiple Aquariums coming in with the $3 super chat. Another awesome member. Says Popper Fund. Well, Diego, thank you very much for that. Sorry, with the piranha bite on the finger there, it makes twisting the string and pulling the poppers a little bit harder. Normally, it's a little more seamless. But
Ooh,
thank you very much, Diego. I appreciate you, my friend. And then we have an awesome new member, Rico Stan. Welcome. Thank you very much. I appreciate you coming in. I appreciate you coming in as a snowball level member. Same to you. Be sure when you get a chance, if you want to, check out the behind the scenes members only stuff. And we've got some awesome new stuff that's coming to the members only section. So thank you, Rico, for becoming a member. Very much appreciated. So do you have any new breeding projects going on right now or anything that's started?
I have a few things that I'm kind of in the works with. I did pick up some rainbow fish that I'm playing with from Dan. Some rice fish as well. I got some Galaxy Madakas from Jimmy, and then also got the and then I have the Indian rice fish as well from Dan. So got some egg layers going, which I kind of wanted to play with a little bit more.
Yeah, that's
very
awesome.
Cool. Yeah, and rice fish have been a really hot thing as of late. So let me throw this on real quick here. I'll acknowledge Kim's super chat here in a second, but I got to get this on because, as promised, if there's a super chat that's hanging out up on the board, Mike's like, "What did I sign up for? I didn't know about this."
No, I know. I knew it was coming.
So there you go.
I knew.
I do want to say, if you've got questions, we've got an awesome crowd now. We've got 71 people watching and 55 thumbs up. I appreciate y'all very much. If you have a question that you definitely want us to get to, you don't have to super chat to do it, but if you'll highlight, just put @FishRoomFever, that way it highlights for me and it sticks out. I will be happy to grab any and all of those questions. Richard Blondin is asking for the link to the fish tank barn. We will get that thrown in the chat for you, absolutely. While I'm paused, Moonstone Aquatic says, for more specs and more poppers. Yeah, and with anything that hangs out up on the top there, you also get the boa while it's up there. But you already knew that. Oh, that was lame. We'll give you one more. Kim.
Do you know who Conor McGregor is?
Yes.
Yes.
I've realized when you're wearing those glasses, you kind of look like him. He must have an incredibly small head. Maybe that's why he's a good fighter, because he has a small head. But you kind of look like him when you have those glasses on.
Well, I mean, I'll take that as a compliment. I appreciate that.
I'm gonna grab a question here from HC Aqua. He asked me about the Santa Maria endlers. They're doing well. They're actually living in one of the tanks I got from Jimmy, and they do have they're living with some shrimp and some rainbow fish, so they're doing good.
Awesome.
They breed like rabbits.
So what types of shrimp do you keep, Mike? I've recently gotten super immersed and in love with the neocaradinas. So
yeah, I just do the neocaradinas. I mean, I can do RO water, but I have too many tanks to spend that much time on one tank like that to do neos or to do caradina.
I could definitely understand that. I've never had good luck with doing anything that was RO specific. I'll put it that way. But yeah, I'm loving them. I've got, I had greens at some point. I'm going to have to get some greens again because they bred out and the next generation was all black or really, really dark blue. But like I've got yellows on here, got some blacks and blues and oranges and of course reds. And I'm absolutely loving them. They're a fun little thing. If you've not tried neocaradina shrimp, I definitely recommend it. And
they're not as hard as you think. I was like really afraid of them, and then after the place I got started kind of keeping a few shrimp around, was actually bought some plants at a fish auction, and it happened to have shrimp eggs or something in it, and they just started popping out one day out of the tank I put them in. So I have all these shrimp hanging out.
You know how you always check the bottom of the bag to make sure no fish are at the bottom.
Yeah.
Well, I pulled plants out and I didn't check the bottom of the bag, and I set it down. And the next day I was walking by and I noticed something moving in that little bit of water, and it was a shrimp that must have been a hitchhiker. I mean, I just tossed him in with the plants, but man, now I know. And you always check, no matter what type of bag it is, look at the bottom of the bag.
Absolutely. I remember the old days in saltwater when they used to have the ocean live rock and some of the crazy stuff that come in on that.
Yeah. Yeah, it was always interesting what hitchhikers you could pick up.
Both.
It's kind of like a lottery.
I'll give you a picture. I don't know if you can put it on the screen, but there was something that I got one time. I still have it in here, but I don't know how hard it is for you to do that. But this was kind of scary looking. Actually, it was we figured out thought it was an arthropod of some sort, but it'll take me a second to find it.
Well, while you're looking for that, I'm going to grab this highlighted question or comment here. One Dirty Platty says, Fisherman Fever, I'm new to you guys. Anyway, thoughts on substrate planted tanks? Any advice? Preferred substrate? So I've got planted tank. Just about everything I've got is planted. Let me preface with that. So excluding the African cichlids, I've got live plants in every single tank, and I've got different substrate in just about every single tank. I have this back here is just gravel that's capped with sand. The one below the tank immediately below it is just gravel. That's just gravel. I've got dirted tanks with the sand cap. I've got sand that's capped with gravel just because I've played around with a bunch of different things. The thing that I have seen the most growth with, and then I've got some like fluval stratum substrates like that. The dirted planted tank has given me the best growth, but I don't recommend it if you're going to be messing with the plants at all. Because it's so easy to make a mess with if you're going to be pulling plants or you're wanting to do propagation and things like that with your rooted plants. There are certainly some mainstream substrates that you can use. I do like the fluval stratum, but I have found even just like this, which I trimmed it down the other day because you couldn't even see through the tank to the other side because it was so overgrown, and I propagated out the crypts in there and pulled a bunch of val. That's just gravel, and then I dose with Easy Green. And I'm fairly new to using Easy Green, but I will say I have noticed a bit of a difference since I've started with it. Ed, your thoughts?
Well, I use just about everything also. I'm literally purposely trying like every single thing in a different tank, just so in a year from now, I can actually see what's doing what. And I'll probably put a video together for that. But, I love the Eco Complete. If you got the money to do it, I think it's great. I kind of feel bad. If you're a pleco guy, you may not want that. I don't know how rough it'll be on your plecos going around the bottom. I absolutely love pool sand. I put like an inch of organic soil and then about 3 inches of pool sand on top. And plants seem to just go crazy over it. I tried a tank with play sand just to see how that went, and it's been horrible. I think I'm going to probably redo that tank completely, but I'll show you guys what it looks like. I've got cory cats in there that are constantly stirring the clay that's in that sand up. So don't go with play sand. Spend $3 extra, and get the pool sand.
100% agree. Mike, your thoughts? Oh, sorry, Ed.
I've actually bought most of my freshwater substrate, honestly, from the hardware store. I either pool filter sand, the gravel. I've played around a little bit with some of the other sand too. Most of it's fairly decent. Like I bought I think it was like the all-purpose sand. That's worked okay as well, but some of it's finer grain than others. But some of it's kind of a hit or miss.
Absolutely. So just like if I go to Lowe's versus Home Depot, one carries a very light gravel substrate, like this here is a very whitish tan, and the other carries a very dark substrate. So I kind of base where I'm going at that particular time, depending upon what color substrate I'm looking for. And like you said, even the pool filter sand, I have noticed that the one store, it comes in like the fabric bag, if you will, that woven plasticky bag. real technical terms, they're plasticky. And then the other one, it just comes in a big, just solid plastic bag. And there has been some consistency difference between the two. So you can always play around with some things. And like you said, it's fairly cheap when you go to the hardware stores for stuff. I will say in this one, I did cheat. I threw in some Aquarium Co-op tabs underneath these guys. And like the Crinum, I've actually got 2 of the Crinum now. But the Crinum reaches way out. It wasn't even touching the water when I first got it. But that's how long this stuff is getting in here. Having the root tabs underneath with the gravel base and full filter sand cap.
Sand is also regional. The sand here in Tennessee, when you go to buy it, it's a really fine sand. But like if you get it where I grew up in St. Louis and Missouri, area, they pull it right from, they have like a quarry near the river where they're pulling sand up. And that sand is a lot thicker. It's awesome for, I wish I could get that. Next time I go visit my brother, I'm going to get a couple bags of that because it's like several different colors of rock. Some of them are clear, some are dark brown, some are tan. It's just, I love that sand and I can't find it anywhere down here in the South. But, so it's also regional.
I'm sorry. Yeah, even for us, it's seasonal too. Like as we get heading towards winter here, like the only place that you could buy it starting like kind of like 4th of July onward was like Menards. Like you couldn't find it in Home Depot, you couldn't find it in Lowe's, you couldn't find it at Ace. Like at the beginning of the pool season, like you can find it pretty much anywhere. But as you get through the summer, it's now kind of dwindling down. So I've been buying it every time I go to Menards just because that's the place that has it. I've been banging like 2-3 bags, so I have a stockpile going into winter.
Very good idea. And see, I didn't even take that into consideration because I've not really run into that issue where I'm at. So that's something to keep in mind, just location based where you're at, that you may run into issues seasonally with finding that stuff. One Dirty Platty, and thank you again, One Dirty Platty, for hanging out with us. I'm glad to see new faces all the time. Had a follow-up question. Do things like cories or other fish like rams manage to disturb the sand enough to get to the dirt underneath? Thanks in advance. I'll shut up now. No need to shut up, and thank you for the questions. We're here to answer questions. We love to just hang out and talk to each other, but questions are always welcome and appreciated so that we can hopefully help some people. Yeah, so in my experience, yes, absolutely, things can get down into the sand. I would never do a dirty tank with a sand cap with like larger cichlids or even African cichlids. I've got Mrs. Fever's African tank over here is just pool filter sand. There's no dirt underneath, but if there had been dirt, it would have been thrown up everywhere in the water column because they like to dig so much. The cories, I have not had an issue with them digging through it. So I do have cories in case in point. I've got a tank that I set up on a live stream with Father Fish. My first dirty tank I set up. I've got cories in there, and they don't dig down through the sand cap enough to get down into the dirt and bring that into the water column, in my experience, just from what I've had.
Yeah, I haven't had them dig into it enough. It's just that what I'm getting is they're digging in the play sand that has too much clay, and that's what keeps stirring it up. But they aren't getting to the dirt.
And we had Richard Blondin who had a comment, so don't get sandblasting sand. Ed, you had an interesting experience with that the other day.
I did. I bought some of the Black Diamond sandblasting sand from Tractor Supply Store, and it's a black sand that's, more affordable, and it's awesome. I brought it home, opened it up, and it's a tan sand. They stopped. I don't know if they just completely stopped doing black or what the deal was. But, so I paid extra for tan sand.
I would have been so mad.
Oh, well.
Yeah, I can't. And that's the first I've heard, not that it's the first time it's happened, that's the first time I've ever known anybody that went specifically for sandblasting sand and got a tan instead of a black. Usually people, you see the videos and people talk about it. They've gone and gotten the sandblasting sand from like Harbor Freight or wherever, and it's black sand. But when you told me that, I was like, man, that's just my luck. That's just your luck that would happen. Lisa, real quick, I just want to say I hope you get to feeling better. Have a great night, and thank you for being here, Lisa Press.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a very valid point. Richard said the sand is sharper than regular sand, and I've not personally tried it yet, so I can't attest to that. But I have heard some people mention issues and potentially things like the barbels on Corey's and stuff like that. But if either YouTube, go ahead.
I got enough tanks that you can just put your Corys in a different one. You don't have to put Corys in every single tank. You can put shrimp in those as cleanup. That's how I look at it.
Or even if you go if you look at Corey's videos though, like in Peru, stuff like that, those Corys are in like gravel. So I mean, it kind of debunks the whole, the whole myth and everything.
I don't disagree with you. I've seen those videos and heard him talk about some of that stuff. I've of course not visited Peru myself, but I thought it was really interesting because that debate's gone on for a while with like Corey Barbel specifically. And then Corey to Corey Co-op is like, hey, check out the substrate they're on. So,
yeah, the closest I've been to Peru was Brazil for work, and I went nowhere near the Amazon.
Yeah, I hope to get down there one day. That is a dream trip. My dream fish. A lot of people ask. I've got the zebra pleco colony, of course. And thank you to the Zens for the assistance with that. Awesome people. But I want a blue diamond piranha that I have gone down, collected, and sent back. I could order one online, but that's kind of like the dream is to eventually go catch one, send it back, and have it at home. Bob Kaler with a $5 super chat. I'm going to grab this real quick, and then we can carry onward to let's see that wardrobe. Thank you, Bob Kaler. I appreciate it. Bob is an awesome guy. He, too, is a good friend, a channel member. He was kind of the first person that introduced me into the fish family, if you will. He was the closest person to me that I was aware of, and I got to talking to him. Thank you, Bob Kaler. And he introduced me to Chattanooga Ed, and from there, I have met a lot of the awesome FishTube people. So a huge thank you to Bob / you can blame Bob if you don't want me here because he's the one that brought me into all of this.
Streetwise says he likes to go with kind of a lasagna. He goes with 1.5 inches of soil, a 1/2 inch of sand, and 1 inch of small gravel.
I like that. I may have to give that a try. That sounds like a good mix. Petzotic says, Fisher and Fever, I like Mike's new YouTube logo. The other one looks too close to another YouTuber's. Mike, nice job on that. Yeah, so your new logo does look very, very cool.
Thank you. I was trying to find a logo for years. Like I literally was trying to find like something and I could never find it. Like once I found it, I knew it would be it.
Right.
And I would kept playing with ones, remaking it every few months or 6 months or whatever. And finally I was playing around with some stuff and I'm like, oh, this is perfect. I kind of took like a fish and like a real estate and kind of put it together, and that kind of was like, oh, this is it.
Yeah,
I want to get your shirt where you're pointing.
It's out there on Teespring. I think I took that one down, but there is a pointing one out there still that's about the Latin names thing from the Big Fish.
Okay.
Nice. So yeah, and I'm sure we can get a link in here. We've got so many awesome moderators that they will beat me to be able to getting a link to your Teespring so that people can check that out. But very cool.
Is this your third your logo?
It's probably 4th or 5th, I think.
Oh, jeepers!
Even when it was originally, it was M. Howe 9's Fish Tanks because that was the name I had forever in the saltwater world is M. Howe 9. Because that was my number playing ice hockey at intramural college. Let me make sure I'm clear with that. I didn't play college hockey. I just played intramural hockey. So that was 9 was my number. So kind of first name, first letter, last name, number 9. So and that was actually like my email, right? Like I had like the original back in the day, like 1998. It was the original. I'm gonna date myself here now. Original Hotmail. Like I actually got that as the email, right?
Well, I still use my YouTube or not YouTube, Yahoo email.
At least you're not using like AOL or something.
Yeah, well, I was using Ed at RDR, which was like one of those original people for a long time. And unfortunately, when I got rid of RDR, they got rid of my. They kept my email.
Oh no!
I can't go into it anymore.
Well, that's not good. Real quick, I want to grab this Streetwise with $5 super chat. Thank you very much, my friend. Streetwise also has been doing an awesome job. Words are really hard tonight. With helping out with the Fish Room Fever website, doing updates and things. So thank you, Streetwise, for that. $5 super chat says Dana Walstead. Hold on a second. Ecology of the Planted Aquarium. So there you go. Also dropping the knowledge and throwing out $5 just to let us all know that and pass on the knowledge and fishy love. Thank you, Streetwise. I really do appreciate you. And that is a very good suggestion right there. Anthony's Fishy Friends, I had saw earlier, but I didn't grab it at the time we were talking. He said that he got his prize pack with his merchandise in it and was super happy. So, Anthony, I'm glad that got to you safe. And congratulations again on winning that giveaway. So, do you, without putting you on the spot, Mike, do you have a plan, an idea, a theory, a rough draft of when you might be coming back to live streams with us? Because
I don't have a plan. It'll be, and I think if I do have one, it'll be more. I think it would be more random.
Okay, that's fair enough.
With everything going on right now, I can't really say. With all of the the virus things and everything like that. I mean, my kids are gonna be homeschooled not homeschooled, but gonna have online at home,
right?
For first, till at least November. And I think it'll be easier when things settle down, to maybe get back into it a little bit. And I might do a random one here or there. I've had a couple of times where I've been like, maybe I'll pop on and do one.
Well, that would be awesome.
It's more of a random thing. So, I always found that for me, at least, I need a topic. Or else I couldn't hang out. I never could do the hangout and just be like, okay, let's just hang out and talk about nothing. I couldn't do that.
Right. Well, and we are, I guess you could say, very good or very bad at that, depending upon perspective. But Ed and I have found a lot of times when we plan out a topic, we can never get through it. Those are the times when we have 70 questions come through chat, and it's like, oh, because we've literally sat down and kind of boarded everything out on segments and topics, and then it's all chat questions. And we love chat questions. But so we just kind of shoot from the hip at this point, and everybody seems to enjoy it. But I can definitely understand that is not
there's no skill set to that.
Well, yeah, and it's not even what we do is not the recommended method necessarily. It's definitely better to have a topic. I won't say that we're doing things the smart way, but we're doing them a fun way for us. So
yeah, but if you get people, the thing was for me is eventually, it kind of became the show, and so if I didn't have a topic, it would kind of just lag, and we're all kind of, me and the chat are kind of sitting staring at each other, kind of who's gonna play chicken first, right?
Absolutely. Fantastic Freaks with the $5 super chat. In case you all were wondering why I was throwing this back on here, says, hi everyone, new to Fish Tank Barn, but I love the Murphy shirt. What's all in the tank behind you, Fish Tank Barn? And Fantastic Freaks, another awesome member.
I will
thank you very
move
much.
out of the way here, and we'll get the pencil out. I'll show you what we got. All right, we've got Geophagus altifrons, convict cichlids. These are wild-caught Rio Nene severums.
Wow.
Geophagus heckelei are in here somewhere over here, which is probably off camera. We'll move them over this way. Come here. Come here. Go this way. Come on. People all go over this way. So this is a Thoricles maculopanus. It's kind of like a what's that fish called? What I couldn't pronounce it, the big fish deal.
Look, I got thrown off the stage. Yeah, that was.
Yeah.
I have to tell people about that story because we got a lot of people that don't know about that.
And then this is a Mesoheros ultramaculatus, which I'm afraid might be kind of a monster fish. So I don't know what I'm going to do with him yet. So, and then there's a few black skirt tetras and a white skirt tetra in here as well. So,
very, very nice. So, and to those of you wondering, yes, I am going to leave this on extra time since I pulled myself off screen, but I wanted you all to see what Mike had going on. Before I get any further away from it, I want to say thank you. We've got 79 people watching now, 68 thumbs ups. If you want to make sure that you catch Mike's random live streams, be sure that you're subscribed over there and have the notification bell rung. And it would also be appreciated if you subscribe to this guy here, Chattanooga Ed. We're actually going to be swapping over to his channel in about 19 minutes. This is our first week of doing it. Initially, I had a 2-hour show on Thursdays, and we moved to his channel to help build his channel. And then this week is the first week we've gone to an hour and an hour. I think we'll have a fairly seamless transition, but we want to help this guy out because he's an awesome dude, and I don't think he gets the credit he deserves. So I want to say that real quick.
Yeah, definitely, for sure.
But go ahead, Ed.
Well, Mike's tank looks so, you can see the fish so much better because I've got geophagus. I got the words over me, so I can't even see if you can see them. But I got geophagus back here, and you can't hardly see them because I got all this canopy up here. I'm wondering, maybe I should take some of my canopy down so you can see the fish better.
I get that with duckweed a lot. Like literally, like when I do fish room tours and stuff, I literally go with a shop vac, and I go, and shop vac all the tank, the duckweed.
Well, I've got like some giant water sprite that's over a foot long coming down. I don't know if you can see it, but the root system comes about 2 feet down from the top.
Wow.
Very nice.
Yeah,
you can see the fish.
You're probably losing some light in there for sure.
If you were here, you could see them. That should be my trick. I don't even need to have any fish. I'll just have really thick canopies of plants.
Well, all you need is a green screen.
Yeah.
A pleco. Oh, gosh. Sorry.
And real quick, I've been remiss if anybody has been watching on Twitch because it won't pull up for me. Thank you. We're also simulcasting there as well today. But it won't let me get my chat up. I don't think we've got anybody there because I just started doing that. But if you've been hanging out over there, hello. You're welcome to join us on the YouTube where we're having lots of fun. Get through here. All right. Back to the bottom. If you have any questions, feel free to throw them in the chat. Let's see. Somebody's having pork for dinner. Ooh, sounds good.
A little pork, very good.
Streetwise says, love how James doesn't miss a beat in costume. I try. It's all about giving people a smile and having fun. So if we can do that, that's mission accomplished.
All right.
I want to see you do the dance.
Me do a dance?
I want to see you do the well, wait till you get a big super chat someday. But I want to see you do that dance that Connor does. That's that real arrogant one with his chest out.
I don't know that dance. No, I'm choking myself with a boa.
I don't know. I could see like he's got real long arms, and it kind of looks like I can't do it. But
okay. He's like this, right?
Yeah.
Bob Kaler throwing the $10 super sticker.
Okay, look it up. You got a
I will look it up. I will look it up.
How do you like how I said that?
Yeah.
Let me throw this on here. And Bob, because you're an awesome, awesome guy and supporter, and you've thrown a whole bunch of money out tonight. Normally, I don't throw this on for the $10 super chats. I save this for when Mr. Zen comes in, tossing money everywhere. Oh, Lord. But there you go. Because I know Bob likes that outfit. I lost my glasses. We have totally derailed at this point. And my favorite co-host, I'm sure you've got a question for Mike.
Yes.
Let's talk about the big fish deal, their story.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's where we were going.
So do you need a lead in, or do you just go for it?
We'll just go for it. So what we had done, and there's a backstory too, by the way, that you guys may not know.
Oh, I saw. There's a little bit of backstory that I lived through it too.
Yeah.
Well, so basically, they asked me to read the Latin names for all the fish. And the funny thing was, it was all the fish that I had never seen before. And so literally what they would do at the auction at the big fish deal, I left that part out. So What they would do is, I'll bring the extreme food, is they would bring the bag. And it was literally on the screen over here, and you had about 30 seconds to figure out how to say the name of the fish that was coming up. So and I'm like, okay, and they're fish I had never heard of because it was all South American cichlids and stuff like that. Where Detroit area, it's a lot of African cichlids, a lot of some live bears, some plecos and stuff like that. So stuff I figured it'd be kind of a lot like that. Yeah. Next thing you know, it's like, oh, I'm like, what in the world? It's like, okay. And so it's like, so you literally had to 30 seconds. And the one I missed was, and I can't remember brought a blank on the fish now. Firemouth. That's what it was. It was a firemouth. And that's what the Thrychtes maculopenis is related to firemouth. So, and there was a couple people in the crowd, which around here wouldn't fly in our auctions, but they were very vocal, especially when their fish were up. And there was, if you go back and watch either Susie Q and Haley did a little bit of a backstory of it as well, where they would literally the fish would come up and she would be like, this fish goes for $700 in retail. I'm exaggerating, of course. At the fish store, you should be buying it you should be bidding more than $15 for it. It was like a tetra or something, right? And then her friend, or I don't know what he was, would start heckling me. I pronounced the name of the firemouth wrong. I'm like, okay, if you think you can do so well, come up here and do it. So I called him out. I had the mic, and he came up and he did something. He kind of lounged around with the fish bag like this for a while, and after a while, I took my spot back and I kind of watered up. I was like, "Come here, we're done." Grabbed the fish bag, and meanwhile, the entire internet was about ready to come down and take his head off.
Yeah, well, even the people that were there in the audience, because Ed and I were in the audience, at the auction, even the people there were giving that guy such a hard time after he kicked you out of the way for the one name issue, and then he screwed stuff up, and then there was this kind of applause when you finally got rid of him. Everyone's like, yes.
Or no, it was funny. There was one of them where they put an angelfish up, and I'm like, and he was slow on the draw. I'm like, dude, that's an angelfish.
Well, that guy, beforehand, I was interviewing a guy because it's called the rare fish auction, so that it's all weird fish, and I was interviewing a guy for 20 minutes on it, and then when we got done, he said, yeah, this is going to be my auction, because I do all the auctions. And I didn't want to tell him, you've already been bumped, because I heard him upstairs saying they didn't want you. But I didn't say it, so he was fuming that they had you guys up there. But
and I think he had a little bit of liquid courage, too.
Yeah,
that was terrible. Terrible.
Yeah. And not to paint that club in a bad way whatsoever. It was a great club, but just like with any group of people, you're going to have one or two that really stick out. And I'll phrase it that way and leave it at that.
I think if you would have done that around here, a fist fight would have broken out. There's people around here don't put up with a lot of stuff.
Well, everybody was having such a good time. I mean, the energy was up with maybe 150 people. I don't know how. A lot of people. They gave out free drinks, so everybody was having a good time. And then, just like that. I mean, it just hit the floor, and everybody just stopped bidding too. I think just kind of in protest.
Yeah. Well, I know I did. And I spent well over $500 at the auction. I think I made a couple club members mad, but
they should have been happy.
Yeah. Well, people wanted stuff, and I didn't care if I was overpaying at one point. It was just to prove a point.
I was sitting there for some of them. I was going back to the prices at home because this is African cichlid town, right?
Right.
And so I'm like, you can get any African cichlid you want, basically. The mix has gotten a little better over the past couple of years, but the first auction I went to a couple of years ago, because saltwater doesn't have auctions, they have coral swaps and things like that.
Right.
So it's a different buying mechanism. But if you go to the auction, literally the 3/4 of the auction, the first one I went to was African cichlids.
Yeah, and so we have African cichlids around here, but not to the extent like you're talking about. So some of the stuff, even though it was kind of common where you're from, we don't really see a lot down here. So, because case in point, Shy Guy Miss Fever, who's in the chat there, we've had the LFS, contact her a couple times, going, "Hey, what's this cichlid? What's this African cichlid?" Just because we don't get a whole lot of the nice stuff or the neat stuff or things that we consider different down here that are, common up there. There's Kaler's Aquatics is saying what that is for the fish fam. The link for DPK is to help out this fish fam member. He's homeless and needs our help. Priscilla MK had posted that, and you all are welcome to throw that out again. DPK is an awesome member of the fish fam. He's actually the one that did my logo, minus the red ring that I added on there just recently. But he did the Fish Room Fever logo, and it's a really good guy who's hit hard times. So if you want to help, that is a great way to do so, and it is always appreciated.
Let's see. So we've got Anthony has a question. Saltwater. He's got a firefish tank of 36, 15 by 16. I would look at, for a centerpiece fish, you can't go anything too big. So I would, a lot of times, like a clownfish is a good centerpiece fish, like a pair of clownfish. Maybe look into some cardinal fish as well. Like, that's too small to do any sort of tangs in. You need, honestly, in my opinion, you need a 6-foot tank for any sort of tang. So that's double the size. Yeah, because the firefish are more like rock-dwelling fish.
Mm-hmm.
So I would get, something that's more open water-ish, like maybe something like a, clownfish, pear, like maybe even like some Banggai tetras, not tetras, Banggai cardinals, stuff like that. There's a lot of other cool cardinal species out as well. Check out Live Aquaria. Go to the Live Aquaria Divers Den and just kind of poke around in there and see what you can find.
Yeah, they've definitely got some cool stuff. And I really like the cardinals, like you mentioned. I don't have a lot going in terms of saltwater like you do, but I always enjoy watching the cardinals and how they a lot of times just kind of look like they're hovering in the water and like this, almost like an Imperial Starfleet that's just kind of hovering there in position, waiting to fly through space, if you will. I don't know how else to describe it. They're just really cool looking.
The threadfin ones almost shoal. If you get they're called threadfin cardinals. They've got kind of like a blue eye. They're almost like kind of like a lamp-eyed killie in a way. With the eye. I mean, they're not shaped like a killifish, but they do. They do kind of have that look, and they're kind of bland when it comes to saltwater because they're not like orange and red and everything else. But
I think those are good suggestions, and you would definitely be the person to ask on that. Between the three of us, I would say, considering you've got a lot more salt experience than either of us do. I kept a lot more salt back in the day, but now I'm almost exclusively fresh.
Yeah. Wait. It looks like William's starting 2 saltwater tanks. Good time. Just take it slow. It's a different game.
Yes.
Than freshwater. You gotta take your time.
So One Dirty Platty, thank you again for being here. Says Fisherman Fever, 120 plus gallon. What's your guys' favorite filtration other than sumps? Sneak that in before this ends, and thank you. Thank you for the question, One Dirty Platty. Who would like to go first?
I'm gonna grab a prop and then we'll
all right. Absolutely. So I will say this, Ed, unless you want to go first.
Did it say other than sumps?
It says other than sumps, favorite filtration.
Okay, well, I mean, I kind of use a combination of everything. My 120, I have a Zist filter, a hang on off the back, and a sponge. So but I only have mollies in there, so I don't have any major fish in my. This thing is a sump, or not a sump, a canister. This is 200. That's all I have. That's over 120. I just have 2.
So I am transitioning mine. I've got 125 right here across from me that's got my piranhas in it until I can get to 220 moved in. But I'm transitioning it over to sponges. Now that I have the linear air pump run through all of the fish rooms, I'm switching over to sponges. I had 3 hang on the backs and then a power head do-it-yourself filtration kind of polisher setup that I made running in there, but I'm switching it all to sponge filters now that I've got that Co-op linear pump. I do want to say, because I've mentioned Co-op a couple times, not sponsored, not an affiliate, or what the brand ambassador, because I get comments like, "Oh, you sound like you're pitching Co-op stuff," and I'm like, "Well, I like their products." And people have said I need to let people know I'm getting something out of it, and I'm like, I'm not. I just really like their products. So there's that disclaimer. Go ahead, Mike.
Speaking of Co-op, I did grab a sponge right here. This is the mini one, but I run a lot of these now. I like these. I will say that I am a brand ambassador, so I do get a few things occasionally, but I do like hang on the backs for bigger tanks as well. But I don't use any of the cartridges or anything. I normally use like the filter floss, and then I'll run a sponge as well, just because I like even if you just get air in the tank, it's really good to have that as well.
Absolutely. So yeah, and like this behind me, you can kind of get the idea. This is a second tank underneath it, so it's about 150 gallons. I'm not going to open that because that one sticks, but it's about 150 gallons total water volume. And I literally just have a pre-filter sponge over the return pump that's pumping the water back up, and then all of my sponge filters down in the bottom for video purposes, for stream purposes, so you don't see a bunch of sponges behind me. But I've got like the Co-op double stacked down in the bottom there, so. That's kind of my go-to. I used a canister on my one salt tank to give it some added flow as well. Plus, it's got a almost 4-foot tessellata eel, so I really want filtration. I don't have to get my hand inside the tank too much to mess with. And then again, it's salt water, so you're looking at different setups. But that's about the only time I really run canisters. Personally, that varies. Some people love them, so.
Yeah, I don't run canisters because they're too out of sight for me. I need it where I can see that I need to do something with it. If I stick it and shove it under a cabinet, it will sit there for years until I decide, oh, there's this thing under the cabinet I might need to take care of.
Yeah. So it's like I've got a canister that the seal finally gave out, as they typically do with maintenance. And I could spend $10 on the seal to have a perfectly good canister running, but I'll spend $10 on sponge filters before I'll spend $10 on that seal for that canister.
Absolutely.
So.
Yeah, I love sponges. I mean, that's 90% of everything I have is a sponge. But I mean, most of my tanks are all 20 longs, they're 10s.
So, and you can do a couple different things. Like I mentioned, having the double stack sponges here. If you don't want to have a lot of individual sponges in like the 120 gallon plus that you mentioned, at least with Co-op, and then with most of the sponges I've come across, you can double stack those so that you've got, maybe 2 double stack sponges instead of having 4 individual sponges. I think I'm actually going to play with some things when I do the 220 because it's an extremely tall tank. Just in general, maybe do like a couple mega sponges or a couple triple stacked with some high airflow, and just play with things and see how those work out instead of having, 6 sponges in there individually.
I am going to have my first sump, Mike.
Oh, good.
I bought it already, and I'm going to hook it up to my Beto wall. So it's going to be a sump for about 36 gallons.
You know what? You do the 10-gallon tank with a 90-gallon sump.
Well, I need something that constantly trickles too. So
yeah. So Priscilla did say to get a good wave maker for some ocean motion. Yes, I've played with those in my past. I've spent more money on wave makers than I would care to admit. I've played with the Vortex MP40s and MP60s and that kind of stuff. When I used to run this tank saltwater, I think at one point I had like 2 MP60s on it, and I think you could like create tsunamis in it if you wanted to.
So we have come to the end of our time for my stream. However, we are going over to Ed's channel because Ed's got some fun things planned. Mike, are you still going to tag along with us?
Yep, I'll tag along. I'm going to go fill up the water.
Absolutely. I did send you the link. So I'm going to say thank you before we leave here to the new members. And I can pull you off stream if you want me to, Mike. But Mike, thank you for being here, and we'll talk to you more here in just a minute.
Yep, I'll be right back.
Thank you to the new members, Roxanne Barnes and Rico Stan. I really do appreciate you all joining. Again, be sure to check out that behind-the-scenes stuff for the members only. And then you've got awesome members-only emojis that you can use in live streams. And I think also in your comments. I have to double-check that, but I think also there. Let me say thank you to all of you awesome super chatters real quick. And we're going over to Ed, so I don't think he minds me taking an extra minute to do this.
Not whatsoever.
You get this pulled up. I love you guys. You're awesome.
I'm going to close out just so I can prep.
Okay. Well, I'll be there in about 30 seconds, maybe a minute. But we've got Pet Exotics, Multiple Aquariums, Kaler's Aquatics, Mob for USO. Again, welcome. Good to see new faces around here. Grumpy Mike's Fish Tanks, Pet Exotics again, Moonstone Aquatics, Kaler's Aquatics, Streetwise, Fantastic Freaks, Bob Kaler at Kaler's Aquatics again. Thank you all very much for the super chat, super stickers. Thank you all for hanging out. Thank you, moderators, for everything you do. I'm not going to go through the full thank you speech because hopefully y'all will join us over on Ed's channel. In case you're wondering, we want to go support Ed, help his watch time, get him some subscribers. So we're continuing over there. I'm sure we've got the link in chat, and we will be there in just a second. So until then, keep your fish healthy, keep yourselves healthy, catch yourself a little fish room fever. Take care, everybody.